Hello everyone, Mo-NaN here again for another video. Today I'm just going to be talking about just a few things that I heard today, a few topics and everything. I kind of wanted to slowly give my opinion. Um, okay. The one thing I really want to talk about when it comes to just shit that's been going on a lot. Oh, excuse me. Not too long ago, woke up. It's early as hell here in Minnesota. Um, but basically, I wanted to talk about how PC everyone has been lately. Just everyone has been PC. It seems like Little Duval said something about transsexuals on the Breakfast Club, which I watched the entire interview of. I'm very big into the Breakfast Club. I like them a lot. I watch every interview, possibly. I mean, I listen to Angela Lee's lip service. That should be funny. Some episodes be funny because I like her friend Miss Santiago. She a bad little piece, but she cool as hell and she funny. Like I'd kick it with her hardcore. And I haven't watched Brilliant Idiots because I actually like that show. I know DJ Envy has a podcast too with his wife. I I don't know. I just feel like he gives me enough information during the Breakfast Club. So me and his podcast, like, there's probably shit they talk about. Like I really would look at DJ Envy completely sideways since Charlamagne and the rest of them do. But I just had a problem with the fact that people were sitting here people get at everybody for saying or putting out an opinion when it comes to like transgenders or people who consider themselves non-binary, because I had actually have a conversation with a friend of mine about that, and a lot of that stuff didn't make any sense to me. But the more I kind of did a little research and kind of listened to people who actually agree to not just agree, but what's that fucking word, use those terms. I've always had it. I've kind of had an issue on how PC it is, because how I've always felt, and this is coming from a transsexual that I heard on Shane Dawson's podcast at one point, and a lot of people were coming at her very, very foul because of a lot of the shit she was saying. But I agreed to a lot of the shit she was saying, because what she was basically saying is that us as the GLBTQI whatever, as us being as like the gay community, we are supposed to be way stronger and way more hardened and way more rougher skin than anybody else. Because if we've all been oppressed at some point in our lives, we as a group of GLBT need to be a way stronger and not allow this PC shit to not allow this dumbass PC shit. Because a lot of us who grew up in a different era of being gay cannot fully grasp the fact that nowadays everybody is so sensitive. Because as a gay man growing up myself, I couldn't, even though I was very sensitive, I couldn't be sensitive. I had to fight all the time. I had to make sure I could survive certain situations. I had to make sure that I wasn't being, that something, no type of harm has come to me. I've seen some really foul stuff happen to a lot of friends or a lot of people that I knew growing up, that people, a lot of these kids, I guess nowadays in the new generation, probably would fully understand but wouldn't at the same time. And and I know a lot of people, they did a thing, I think, on The View, where they were talking to people who considered themselves cis or in the middle, or like other gay terms to kind of describe them. And like, I get it. Like, some of them I understand, because that kind of makes sense, because I kind of explain it in conversations that I've had. But there are some that does not make any sense to me. Now, I understand how people want to consider themselves non-binary because they don't want to choose between a male and a female. But I just feel like in real life situations, in situations where you might have kids, you might be with somebody else, just things like that. Yes, sex isn't really fairly important, but I feel like people who don't want to choose a gender or have this weird thing about like not trying to be considered that, I kind of had an issue with, only because I feel like having a relationship and being with somebody else, there is either just a man and there is just a woman. I don't feel like there should be somebody in between, because no matter what you dress like, no matter who you have sex with, that doesn't fucking matter. Like, that's just how I feel. We don't, half the time, most people don't give a fuck about who the fuck you sleep with, because half the time no one's gonna know. Let's just be real here. And then the other half are people who, you know, I guess I feel like want to just, I guess, being something different because they feel like they want to be something different. And people don't understand that people, some of these people actually just want to be different. They just want to be different. They want to be the norm. They want people to look at them like, oh, what are you? What's going on? Like, and I just feel like that's kind of garbage. I feel like there's a lot of people who are out there who are only doing this because they're able to, they want to confuse people, but also make themselves look like they're just the most interesting, odd person ever. And I feel like you don't have to, I understand you don't have to choose male or female. I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not super confusing, but using like non-binary or cisgendered or just these terms makes shit difficult for people. Because, like, okay, if we walked in person, if I walked by one of them or I had to talk to one of them, I'd be like, oh, hi sir, hi ma'am, depending on what the outer layer looks like. Now, there are certain situations where I can tell if that's actually a girl dressing like a boy or a boy dressing like a girl. There are certain things you can tell. Not for everybody. Some of these motherfuckers are talented at what the fuck they do, but there are some that it's a little different. Now, when it comes to me, I've had situations with studs. Well, that's what we call them in the I guess in the lesbian community. Studs are mainly like the more manly girls, and then the feminine, which, yeah, that, I mean, that, please don't be stupid. but with those type of situations going on, I just feel like, and I've been attracted to some of them because I didn't know. Because I'm like, oh, okay, that's talent. And there was one who had like abs and everything. I'm like, how the fuck you a girl? But I was just like, hey, you know what I'm saying? And I could never bring myself to ever be attracted to that, because you have to understand, like, they may have the outer look of a man, but the sexual thing, that's something different. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one wants to be, like, okay, a straight man does not want to sit here, look at this girl, be like, this is a badass girl, then all of a sudden, if he's not into the whole chicks with dicks thing, that would probably turn them off. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But, and that would just be weird, because you're expecting a vagina there. There's no vagina there. There's a penis, and you're just like, I'm not cool with that. Everything else is cool, but then that part kind of, you know, ruins the experience. Same thing for, like, you know, a femme to male. Like, we understand that you have a vagina. That's totally understandable. But I feel like what Little Duval was saying, when he wasn't trying to say, like, oh, kill transsexuals, or, you know, or saying anything violent to them, it's the fact that you cannot lie. That's just the honest fucking truth. Like, look, it seems like it's fun and dandy to sit here and like convince a dude, you know, that you are actually a woman when you're actually not. But I feel like there have been situations where people have been physically hurt and things like that. And I totally agree with what Charlemagne was saying when he said the fact that you cannot sit here and condemn them for something like that, but you also have to give people the power of choice. You cannot sit here and lie to somebody about something like that, because that messes up somebody else's mind. It's not even the fact that you're lying. You're lying about something that's so serious that that person should be able to choose the fact if that's okay. You understand? And I feel like people should be able to at least do that. Because I could care less what gender you want to choose. I could care less if you don't want to choose no gender. I just want to know what part you have, because then I understand, like, oh, okay, I know an easier way to approach this situation. And it's just easier for anybody in the GLBT community who really do not fully understand this, because a lot of us do not understand this whole cisgender, choosing a gender, all this weird stuff. Bisexuality, there's been issues with bisexuality for years, and they're talking about there's no proper representation. I'm like, there's not going to be a proper representation. Like, when is there ever going to be a proper representation? And then there's like the Kinsey scale. There are different levels to bisexuality too. You know what I'm saying? And there are situations like that, but I feel like unless you're willing to go full force into both of them, then come up with the correct decision. Because people can say they like both, but a lot of these bisexuals have never had any relationships or any sexual relationships with both. That's the issue there. If they talk about their bisexual, but they never had any interaction, they've only had interaction with probably one, but never the other, and vice versa. And I feel like that's bullshit, because I feel like for any person, period, you have to experience it to know what you are. You have to experience it. So I feel like if you can't choose, I feel like as long as I've known you've had sexual or a sexual and a some type of physical, emotional relationship with both genders, and you can you can differentiate all that kind of stuff, then that makes a lot more sense. But a lot of people can't do that, and shit like that just doesn't make any sense to me. Or the ones that actually want to be women, but a lot of them don't want to get rid of their penis. I've seen situations like that too. There's just a lot of stuff, and I feel like as a community, we need to stop being so fucking sensitive. We should stop sitting here getting mad at every fucking body for saying something foul. Who gives a fuck? Like, I've lived in a world where I was called faggot, nigger, and all other types of shit all the fucking time, and a lot of it wasn't even coming from white people. It was just coming from people in general. Like, people don't know I was bullied by my own gay people. Like, no one can understand that you can be bullied by your own group of people. That they look at you just as garbage as a straight person does. It doesn't matter, and people don't want to talk about that because people are like, oh, it's not accepting as much in the gay community. No, it is. Don't get it fucking twisted. It very much is. But you have to understand, the gay community is bigger than this. There are bisexual married people who like to have sex with us. There are tons of closeted people who like to have sex with us. There are tons of DL guys that like to have sex with us within the community. But of course, they don't count because we exclude them because of the shit they do. But I feel like we shouldn't even have any type of interactions with them because of the situation that we bring to it. We make it look worse. We make it look worse for people. I might do a part 2 on this because I feel like talking about gay stuff seems like it's awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start asking some questions, getting some questions from some people, and I'll probably answer those questions. I feel like that'll be something. So I'm finna do a My Thoughts gay segment. That's what I'm finna be doing today. So Mo-NaN out, and part 2 will be coming here soon. Thanks.